It is time to hit the road here as the Cincinnati Reds are going to be traveling out to PNC Park to take on the Pittsburgh Pirates. Take a look at the Redlegs lineup on the day, listed 1-2-9. We'll start things off bottom half of the first. Hunter Green on the hill. And old friend TJ Friedel's actually going to make him pay here. A solo shot into the right field seats puts the Pirates up 1-0 early on in this game, his 6th of the season. Move things on top of the second, lefty on the hill, Anthony Solometto for the Buccos, and he's going to be giving up a double down the right field line, bounces out of play, ground roll double for Nick Senzel, then brings up Nolan Jones, who's going to slash one down into the left field corner, and that's going to score Senzel easily. An RBI double ties the game at 1. Then it would bring up Brian Anderson, who crushes a pitch down the left field line. This one's going to go off the foul pole. A 3-1 lead now here for the Reds as they jump back out here, or they take the lead, I should say, for the first time. And then after giving up the home run in the first, Hunter Green really settled in, strikes out Josh Van Meter to end the second. Move things on into the third, strikes out Henry Davis with the 101 mile an hour fuzz. And then for the third out of the inning, it's Ke'Bryan Hayes, also getting the 101 up and in on his kitchen, could not pull the trigger as Green had it working on the day. So top 4 now, Senzel. He's a doubles machine against lefties. He's going into the right center field gap. That's going to be an easy 2-bagger there to lead off the inning, and he's actually going to try to go into third, and he gets in there. So Senzel lead off triple here to start off the 4th inning. Then it brings up Nolan Jones, who rips one over to second base. The jump throw from Michael Chavis does get Jones at first, but the runner does come in to make it 4-1. And then Robbie Grossman goes down the right field line. That's going to get up against the wall, and Grossman has himself a 2-bagger here with 1 out to keep the inning alive, or to keep the inning going, I should say. And then it brings up Brian Anderson, who rips one into left field, and that's going to score Grossman from second base. Anderson now has 3 runs driven in on the day. It now makes it a 5-1 lead here for Cincinnati. Move things on into the 4th inning, and Hunter Green striking out Brian Reynolds there for the second out of the inning. Then it brings up O'Neal Cruz, the 6'7" shortstop, running the ladder with him. That was about 6'4" height on that one. Blows it right by him. Then it brings up Josh Van Meter in the 5th inning, I should say, as he gets in the strikeout for the second time this game. And then in the 8th inning, he would get him again for the 3rd time, looking this time on the slider on the back door. Then with 1 out, it brings up Taylor Motter, also former Red. He goes down swinging on the slider, and now for the final out of the inning, it would be Henry Davis, who just grounds one over to first base. Jones steps on the bag, and they take that 5-1 lead into the 9th, where Green freezes Hayes for out number 1 with the slider. 1 down now, brings up TJ Friedel, gets him frozen on the 98 mile an hour fastball up and in, and then it would bring up Brian Reynolds, who gets a 1-2 fastball that or a 1-2 hanging changeup that he likes, and he sends it into the right field seats. So it's a 5-2 ball game now. Hunter Green will not get a chance for the complete game as the Reds stop messing around, bring on Lucas Sims out of the bullpen, and he would proceed to just strike out O'Neal Cruz up and in, 97 on the gun, blowing the cheese right by him. 5-2 is your final score in this game as the Reds easily beat the Pirates here at PNC Park. Hunter Green was your player of the game. 8 2/3 innings pitched, only gave up 3 hits and struck out 12 batters on the day. He was electric. No walks as well, only 2 earned runs, both on solo home runs. Nick Senzel had a double and a triple on the day, scored twice. Brian Anderson had a home run, drove in 3 runs. Nolan Jones had an RBI double, and then Tyler Stevenson went 3 for 4 as well at the plate. Just an all-around dominant performance on both offense, defense, and pitching for this Reds ball club. And now, before we move things on to the next game, it is time to do the trade deadline. We did make a couple trades, not too many this year, but the first one we did was a pretty decently big one. John Means is going to be coming to the Cincinnati Reds here for the rest of the season in return for Jose Mendez, Jose Barrero, and Rafael Valdez going to Baltimore. Now, I realize that in-game on the trade screen, you'll be seeing that it says that I gave up way more than I needed to. That is simply because Barrero is a B potential, and in-game he's obviously going to have a high trade value simply because he has a B potential. But with the actual state of him being a player, if this was real life, he would not be having that high of a trade value. He's more of a change of scenery guy, but he still has a little bit of value. So he's not, totally useless. But also I felt like I needed to give them a bit more than just Barrero and Mendez, so I threw in the pitcher Valdez. But the main piece of the deal is definitely Jose Mendez, center fielder / infielder, can play short, second, third, got some power in his bat, very good defender, cannon of an arm, great base runner as well, 20 years old, B potential, definitely a very solid prospect for them, and he could be a long-term option for them, and like I said, either center field or any of the premier infield positions. And then Rafael Valdez is a 19-year-old right-handed starter. He was our third-round pick last season, C potential, good control guy, could be a solid arm for them with just a little bit more development. Already a pretty solid arm, and I'd say, a year or two, he could easily be like a fourth starter for them, like right away. Assuming they don't go out and sign a bunch of 32-year-old guys who stink just to block their guys for no reason because they're the AI and MLB The Show. Well, of course, we get John Means from the Orioles, who is having a great season. In the last year of his contract, he's going to be a free agent in the offseason, so we get John Means for the rest of the year because they are obviously a bad team. They get 3 solid prospects to add to their organization. And then the other trade we made was Robbie Grossman. We did actually trade him. We sent him to the Kansas City Royals in return for infielder Angelo Castellano. Kansas City is a team that is just outside the wild card in the American League. Not a team that's really trying to make a huge push, though, and is trying to trade their whole team to really, stack up here. But getting a guy like Grossman on a 1-year deal for just some depth infielder sort of guy is definitely not something that they would overlook there, or definitely not. It's something they would definitely look into doing. Especially since they need a corner outfielder in right field. They could absolutely use Robbie Grossman there, so I will be switching his position back to right field like it was when we signed him, and he will be playing there for the Royals the rest of the season. He could possibly help them, and then we open up a bench spot, and then we also get Angelo Castellano, who is a 29-year-old infielder, obviously an older guy. He's hit in AAA, he's hit in his limited time in the big leagues. Pretty solid defender as well. Seems like a decent bench bat sort of guy to have on a team. And as far as the trades around the league, there weren't too many to go over here at this deadline, or not too many big ones, I should say, but the notable ones were the Tigers acquired Garrett Hampson from the Rockies, and then also Boston Red Sox picked up Ramon Laureano from the Oakland A's for prospect Nick York, and they also picked up J.P. Feierheisen from the Rays for prospect Brandon Howlett. Cleveland also shipped Emmanuel Clase to the Toronto Blue Jays for whatever reason. Arizona actually did get a decent prospect haul for Ketel Marte to the Chicago White Sox. And then Max Kepler goes from the Twins to the Angels, while the Twins received Deshaun Knowles as the prospect coming back to their organization. And then last but not least, the Cubs do pick up slugger first baseman Ryan O'Hearn from the Atlanta Braves. And now for the new look post-trade deadline Reds. First thing we did was we actually DFA'd Tony Santillan, removed him from the 40-man roster because we had to open up a spot on that. He ended up just getting sent back down to AAA, and nobody claimed him. While Alan Cerda is actually going to be getting called up to the big leagues here, he has done nothing but hit, and hit some more down in the minor leagues at every level, and he is being rewarded with that for a call-up. He is going to be the 4th outfielder for the rest of the season for us, while Brandon Williamson is the one going down to AAA to make room in the rotation for John Means. Well, we are actually going to be sending Matt McLain back to AAA because in between the last game I showed and this one, he was actually up in the bigs for like 4 or 5 days because he was already on the 40-man roster, and we needed an infielder because Max Schrock was actually on the IL. That's why he was not traded at the deadline, because he played like a couple games and then got put on the IL because he got hurt for like 15 days. Still currently there, so McLain goes down to AAA, and that means Castellanos is taking that spot in the big leagues. So if you take a look at the new look lineups here for the Reds, pretty much the same as it was that I showed in the All-Star break when we made changes, except for now, Joe Adell is going to be playing every day in left field, while the rest is basically the same. As far as the rotation goes, we now have John Means in there, so our 1 to 4 is essentially in some order Hunter Green, Tyler Mahle, Nick Lodolo, and John Means. I personally think that's a very solid 1 to 4, and that could definitely help us in the playoffs, having a very solid 4-man rotation like that. Well, as of now, Jarrett Ross is still the number 5 starter in that group. And now before we move on to the next game here, post-trade deadline, we are now into August, and the Rays, who we are about to play, are 1.5 games out of the first place spot in the American League East, so this is a big series for them. Take a look at their roster, not too much different than Season 1. Basically, the biggest change is Joey Gallo in left field. They've also got Josh Lowe, who now plays every day in center field because obviously they don't have Kiermaier anymore. He's on our team just sitting on the IL. But Joey Gallo has also just not really been a good bat for them. He spent the first 2 years of this sim with the Yankees, was not good for them either, really. Hit a few home runs, but just didn't really do much of anything else. Doesn't really walk in this game because the game just hates giving players who have high discipline but not anything else, not a good walk rate. It's like if a guy has like 99 plate discipline, he's going to be walking. But anyways, the bats on the Rays who have been good for them, Ji-Man Choi has been their best bat. The G-Man has been crushing it all season, 852 OPS, highest on the Tampa Bay Rays roster, while Brandon Lau, Wander Franco, and Francisco Mejia have also all been hitting for them, all with OPSs in the 800s, while the rotation and the bullpen for the Rays, very Rays-like, lots of guys who are like either low 80 overall or high 70 overall, just a very well-rounded rotation and bullpen. Obviously, the AI is not going to be using their team like they use them in real life, where they're just going with the best matchups and not pitching guys. They're not overextending guys, they're not throwing 8-inning starts. But as much as the AI can be Rays-like in this game, that is pretty Rays-like, I would say. Luke Weaver and then 2 generated guys from previous drafts in this series, and David Ayala and Darnell Ward are both members of this Rays rotation, while the Nick Anderson has actually been lights out as their closer here in 2024. Hitting the road again here as the Reds travel out to Tropicana Field, the worst ballpark in the major leagues, taking on the Tampa Bay Rays for some interleague play. Left-hander John Means making his first start here with the Cincinnati Reds, his 23rd of the season, first in the National League. And then David Ayala, the right-hander, is on the bump for the Rays. Take a look at the Reds lineup on the day, listed 1-2-9. We'll start things off top half of the first inning here with 2 outs, and Tyler Stevenson hitting a ball to deep left field. This one's going to carry into the seats as Gallo looks up and just watches that one carry over the fence as a solo shot from Tyler Stevenson puts the Reds up 1-0 here in the first inning. Move things on into the second, and things did not go well for John Means here early on in his first start. Gives up a single to Manuel Margot there, and then it brings up Brandon Lau, who draws a walk, so back-to-back base runners for Tampa Bay. Brings up Mike Zunino, who hits one right back up the middle, and that's going to score Margot from second base, makes it a 1-1 tie ball game. Next batter up is the He-Man, gets the fastball blown by him up and in, and then Means would settle in a bit as he proceeds to work a ground ball from Josh Lowe, who grinds into a 3-6-1 double play to end the inning. So a 1-1 ball game now into the top of the third. Taylor Walls absolutely smokes one up the middle, but it's going to be right at the center fielder for an out. And then Ellie De La Cruz hitting the ground ball, and G-Man showing off some flexibility there, laying out in the infield, making the play. And then we move things on to the bottom of the third, where John Means giving up some more hits. Yandy Diaz there getting things started. He's on first with 1 out. Then it's Wander Franco dribbling one through the right side. Back-to-back singles. Makes it first and second here with 1 out. Brings up Gallo, who also dribbles one through the right side. That's going to score Diaz from second base. Makes it a 2-1 lead here for the Rays as they jump back out in the lead. And then it would be Manuel Margot flying one out to left center field. That would tag up Franco from third and make it a 3-1 ball game now. Move things on bottom of the fourth, where John Means started to settle in a bit more as he strikes at Zunino, and then also Brandon Lau on the slider to end that fourth inning. We move things on to the bottom of the fifth now, where Means gets a little help from his defense here. Wander Franco ground ball up the middle, and Jonathan India making a diving play, firing over to first, somehow makes that play, did not know he had that in him. So move things on, top of the seventh, where J.D. Martinez bloops one into no man's land here in right field. Gets on with a single, then it brings up Jonathan India, who would proceed to line one into left field. That is caught by Gallo for out number 2, and then it brings up Nolan Jones, who also lines one at the center field. Josh Lowe doesn't even have to move, and nothing going for the Reds bats. Bottom of the seventh now. Mike Zunino hits one past De La Cruz at third, could not make the catch, so leadoff single for him. Then it brings up G-Man, who also goes out to left field. Back-to-back base knocks for Tampa Bay. Sets up first and second here, nobody outs for Josh Lowe, who singles into center field. That moves up everybody 90 feet, makes it bases drunk here with nobody outs. That'll end John Means' day here in the seventh inning as TJ Antone, the ground ball specialist, comes on trying to get out of the bases loaded jam, and facing Arozarena gets the ground ball. Taylor Walls makes the diving stop to make it only one run that comes in, so now it's a 4-1 game, and then a sawed-off pop-up from Yandy Diaz right back to Antone. And then it would be Franco lining out to left field. They do not test Adele's arm. And then it's Joey Gallo also flying out to left field. So only one run comes in from the bases loaded with nobody outs. But it does make it a 4-1 Tampa lead. Andrew Kittredge came on at the top of the eighth, trying to bridge the gap to the ninth inning. And with Joe Adele at the dish, he would slice one into right field. That's going to be a base knock. So he's on first with his speed. Then it brings up Alan Serta, who hits a deep fly ball to right field, but it's going to die out right at the track. So Adele has to retreat back to first base. And then it brings up Taylor Walls, who gets a hanging slider and then just pops it up the left field. Nothing going for the Reds bats again. So now we move things on. Top of the ninth, Nick Anderson, who has been absolutely dominant this season. 25 for 25 in save appearances. And it brings on Ellie De La Cruz, who leads off the inning with a walk. Spits on ball 4, he'll take his base. Next batter up, Tyler Stevenson. Chops one right back to Anderson. He goes the first with it. De La Cruz moves up 90 feet. Then it brings up J.D. Martinez as he keeps hitting. Lines one into center field. Lowe almost makes the catch. Instead, it's going to land in for a single. And De La Cruz moves up to third. Castellano pinch runs for Martinez at first. And then it brings up Jonathan India, who grounds one over to shortstop. Franco goes to second with it. The throw to first is not in time. India beats it out, makes it a 4-2 ball game. So the tying run at the plate is Nolan Jones as he gets a hanging curveball and then just chops it over to second base as the Reds try to come close in the ninth inning, but Nick Anderson gets the job done and closes out this ball game for a win for the score of 4-2 as the Rays do top John Means here at home. Player of the game honors go to the Rays starter on the day, David Ayala. He pitched 7 very strong innings, only gave up 4 hits, struck out 3 Reds, and only gave up 1 run on the day. While John Means got hit around a little bit, 6 innings, 9 hits, 6 Ks, but he did allow 4 runs as well. Stevenson had a home run. That was one of only 6 hits on the day for the Reds offense. So the Reds are unfortunately on a little bit of a skid here as they start August. Second in the wild card spot now. First is San Diego, who we were about to play, so this is going to be a big series for us. And then the Braves are only a half game back, and the Cardinals only 2 games back. So this is a very, very tough run we're going to be having here to the rest of the season. So definitely not a time to be on a losing streak here. And then also, lots of guys ice cold in our lineup right now. We've got Walls, who is cold on a cold streak. De La Cruz is on a cold streak. And then also Jonathan India, who was hitting well, but now he's starting to hit not well once again. And then Nolan Jones is still not hitting for us as well, so Pavin Smith is going to move back into the everyday first base spot. While Jarrett Ross is still bad at pitching, so he's going to be sent down to AAA, and Mitch Keller is going to come back up here to the big leagues. He will now be the 5th starter in place of Ross, and then Castellano is being sent down to AAA because Max Schrock is back from his injury. So since we are about to take on the Padres, take a look at their roster. They've got a couple new names that have not been there previous seasons, like Jack Flaherty, former Cardinal, and then also Noah Syndergaard. Take a look at their lineup. They got a couple new names in there, like Raimel Tapia and Garrett Cooper. But they also have Fernando Tatis, who is recently back from the IL and for some reason is hitting in the 9 hole in this order. While the Padres' pitching has actually been very good this season, they do still have James Paxton. They brought him back when we traded him to them, and he's still a member of that rotation, and he's been pitching well for them as well as every other starter in their rotation. And then if we take a look at their bullpen, Tommy Kahnle, Tommy Tight Pants, is their closer. Hitting the road once again here as the Cincinnati Reds travel out to sunny San Diego to take on the Padres here at Petco Park. Starting for the Reds on the day in the throwback unis is Mitch Keller, making his 3rd start here this season. And then opposing him, also in throwback unis, will be James Paxton, making his 23rd start for San Diego. Take a look at the Reds lineup on the day, listed 1-2-9. And then we'll start things off bottom half of the first inning. Runner on first, Garrett Cooper at the dish. Liner over to first, Jake Bauers makes the catch and slaps the tag on Tapia, diving back into the bag. Gets the double play. And then Machado would just chop one back to Keller as he works a scoreless first inning. Move things on top of the second. Jonathan India grounding one out to third base. Machado fires over to first, and it's in the dirt. Cooper cannot make the scoop, so India reaches on an error. So now with a runner on first, Joe Adell comes up, and India goes and swipes second base. He would unfortunately be hurt on that. Fortunately, it's not long-term, though. He would just have to come out of the game, so Brian Anderson comes on to pinch run. Max Schrock shifts over to second base, and Anderson will now play third. So Adell then grounds one over to second base, moves up the runner, but there are 2 outs in the inning now, brings up Alan Cerda, and then he just flies one into deep right field, but it's going to be caught on the run for out number 3. So move things on. Bottom of the second, it is Eric Hosmer hitting a ball to deep right center field. Senzel ranging back. He leaps at the wall and makes the catch. Brings it back in the ballpark. That would have been out of here. Eric Hosmer robbed of a home run. Take a look at the StatCast replay. Nick Senzel showing off he's got the defense to play center field. Absolutely fantastic catch on the 100% route efficiency from him, covering 114 feet. So then later in the inning, Jake Cronenworth goes down swinging to end the inning. Keller working scoreless here through the game. So is Paxton as we move things on to the top of the third. Max Schrock hits a deep flyout on the up and in cutter for out number 1. Then it brings up Nick Senzel, who gets a good swing on a high fastball. Also pops that one up for out number 2. And then it would be Ellie De La Cruz, who grounds one over to third base, and Manny Machado from the foul territory guns him over at first base. So this was a true pitching duel today. So top of the 5th now, Jake Bauers gets a pitch right down the middle, pops it up to center field. Then it's Alan Cerda, hanging curveball, lines it at the center field. Nothing going for the Reds. Move things on to the 5th. Or the bottom half of the 5th, ground ball at the shortstop. Ellie De La Cruz makes the play, showing off some great defense there, even at shortstop. So now at the top of the 6th, Max Schrock checks his swing, and just for whatever reason, they say he did go around, and then Alfaro just doesn't throw down to first on the drop third strike. So then Schrock goes and tries to steal second. Whiffing through the pitch was Nick Senzel. He strikes out, but Schrock does move to the second without a throw. And then it would be Tyler Stevenson ripping a ball up the middle. And finally, a team gets on the board here as Stevenson has himself an RBI single, gets up into second base on the throw, and the Reds jump out to a 1-0 lead. So now move things on to the bottom of the 6th, and it's going to be Fernando Tatis hitting one into the right center field gap. That's up against the wall. Senzel getting it into the cutoff man. De La Cruz with a perfect relay throw to get Tatis at third base here. Look at the replay on this. This should have been an easy extra base hit, and it was, to be fair, but he should have held up at second because, how could it be accounted for this? Look at this, right on the money, literally right in the sweet spot. All he has to do is lay down the tag, and Anderson does just that. So now move things on later in the inning as Machado grounds out here with 2 on, and that was Anderson, who somehow makes the play on that pretty insane throw to get the force out. Move things on to the 9th, where Lucas Sims tries to close things out here with a 1-run lead. But Garrett Cooper has other plans as he bangs one off the brick in left field, and that's going to tie this game here at 1 as Sims blows the save, and the Padres will send this one into extra innings on Garrett Cooper's 6th home run of the season. So that'll take it into the top of the 10th. The zombie runner on second base, Joe Adell, going deep left center field, dies out right at the wall. It is going to tag up the runner to third base, and then the throw gets over the head of 2 players, and Brian Anderson is able to score somehow. Just horrible throw in there to the infield, and Adell scores on the error. Brings on Ryan Weathers here, trying to close, wearing the unis that his father wore for the Reds during his tenure in Cincinnati. And then he would work a ground ball to shortstop for out number 1. And then they would pinch run Ha-Seong Kim over at second base to get some extra speed out there. Cronenworth comes up, and he draws himself a walk. So now it's first and second, 1 out for San Diego. Brings on Trent Grisham, and he grounds one over to third base. 5-4-3 double play. Ryan Weathers gets out of it and gets the save here for Cincinnati as they win this throwback uni matchup here in San Diego. They end losing streak as they are now win this one 2-1 here over the Padres. Player of the game honors was Mitch Keller, fresh up from AAA. 7 innings, only gave up 3 hits. Didn't strike out too many guys, only 1. Walked 2 guys as well, but only gave up 0 runs on the day. Only 3 hits for Cincinnati, 4 for San Diego, but the Padres did commit 3 errors on the day, and that was the difference in this one. Just a sloppy defensive effort from the fathers on the day, as that is what costed them the W. So with that being said, that's going to wrap things up here for this edition of the Cincinnati Reds franchise here at MLB The Show 22. I've been your host, Jersey Born, and I am saying, boogity, boogity, boogity.